gentlemen, hello and welcome. We have arrived in Monza. It is time for the Italian Grand Prix. It is round 11 for the ISRL Esports Division 2 Championship Series, and I'm so happy you could all be joining us for what is going to be a very, very exciting event. Just jumping in to our short qualifying. I'm your host here for the afternoon, Fallen Monkeys, joined once again by Asunik in the commentator's booth. Asunik, I'm just going to check in. How you doing today? Excited for the racing action we've got ahead of us here today in Italy?
Absolutely. Fan favorite and driver favorite track here, so look forward to this one.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a fantastic race, and as you said, it is a fan favorite, a driver favorite, and I'll be honest, at least as far as myself here in the commentary's booth on my end, definitely a commentator's favorite. No shortage of action, I don't think. We're not going to be missing any. And just generally speaking, Division 2 up until now, no shortage of action just in general. And I do feel here in Monza, the stakes are going to be that much higher, and I think we're in for a very exciting race. But we have here our short qualifying session, 18 minutes of non-stop qualifying action, and it is going to be KTM Sweden leading the way on their outlap here on the soft tires. Now, I do ask about this every race, but as KTM brings us around the outlap here in Monza, Asunik, what are some storylines, what are some things we should be looking out for here leading into qualifying, leading into the race?
Oh, well, qualifying, we've seen it in real life get a bit finicky where you're trying to just get an advantage off the slipstream of another guy. We know that this track, it's the temple of speed, and rightfully so, as you carry speeds here. Just broken up by bits of chicanes, but, you know, we got to focus on track extension, parabolic. You want to carry a lot of speed coming out of the last corner so you can have the maximum speed on your outlap. So it's just all about track extensions because you want to get nice and tight to these lines here to make it so you're just shaving those tenths or even hundredths off your lap time, but get caught out just a little bit, and we got to focus on Scary as always. We see a lot of drivers, myself, get caught out there by the left, right, and just shifting in the body roll of these cars and just catching drivers out. So there's a little bit of stuff we got to worry about. It's a little bit technical, whereas you just look at it and think, oh, it's just a couple straights and a little bit of turning points, but it's actually a bit technical than it looks. So.
Yep, so some things to look out for sure. We are going to jump on board with KTM as he takes us through a lap into the hard-braking chicane zone of turn 1 and 2 and goes very deep. Does KTM Sweden. Normally you can cut that inside curb just a little bit in turn 1. You don't want to do it in turn 2 because that's where mistakes, incidents are going to happen, lots of time lost. Around Curva Grande into the second chicane of what is turn 4 and turn 5, I believe. Similar to turn 1 and 2, but a little bit quicker. Into the Lesmos now. These two right-handers, you ride the inside. That outside curb can really spin you out on both Lesmos, 1 and 2. And you can see there, track extension, track limits already playing a factor as KTM Sweden's lap out of Lesmos 2 is invalidated before the end of Sector 2. But just to stick on board with them now through Ascari, the three corners there, very difficult to nail exactly the way you want it. Sometimes you'll go a little bit too deep, a little bit too wide, take the corner a little bit too early. Now, of course, down into Parabolica, you want to extend, you want to get the maximum amount of traction on the exit of this final corner. KTM not really worrying too much about that as he's diving into the pits, abandoning his lap, and I think this might be Simi. Yes, it is, who sets the first time on the board. It's a 119.250. Quickly beaten by Cohen with a 118.488 for the Alfa Romeo. So Cohen, he's here to race here in Monza, already breaking into the 118s. And Krishna, who's second fastest, still around 6-7 tenths behind, only a 119.1. I mean, I'm saying only a 119.1, but it just goes to show the pace Cohen has initially on those soft tires. So I do think this time of Cohen might last a decent amount of time here on the top. But of course, we do still have some fast drivers. I was going to say Laparta, he sets a near 119 flat. But I'm looking a little bit at the championship leader, Nole or Mivako in the Ferrari, who is yet to come out of the pits to set their first lap.
He was out, but he unfortunately invalidated his first hot lap, so he quickly dove into the pit
Oh, I
just
see.
to
I
clean that up a
see.
bit.
I had no idea. Thank you. Your eyes are much better than mine here in this qualifying session, as I didn't even notice Mivako coming out on track. And right now, it looks like Nick Potgetter in the Haas is on a lap to remember. He set a purple second sector, so looking to be really fast here. At least it's a personal best given it's his first lap, but we'll see if he can keep it together here around Parabolica, keep it valid, keep it within the limits. Yes, he does, taking the quickest line to the line, up into P2, the second driver to break into the 118, so definitely a fast lap for the Haas driver there, going faster than his teammate. It's a 118.851, good enough for provisional P2, but still not quick enough to beat the time set by Cohen earlier here in this session.
Yeah, we see a couple. I'm not really sure what Irish New Potato was doing there. I saw him out on the mediums, and I was just taking a peek, see what he had going. Maybe he was getting ready to set a hot lap on the mediums. Just never went full throttle around the entire circuit. Never used a bit of energy. Just came out and immediately just went back in without even not sure what he was doing. Maybe getting a feel for the track and see where everybody's at. But again, the tire strategy is a bit different. If you're outside the top 10, it's really not that bad. You could choose the mediums and just try and go longer into the run. Or a lot of these guys, you might see somebody try and sneak into the top 10 with the medium tires. Medium. Oh, what did I just say?
Yep, and that's the thing, and that brings up a point that I was going to bring up a little bit later as Jordan just crosses the line up into fourth, a 119.1. I'll jump on board with Mivako, just as I mentioning. It is the tire strategy. Now, of course, in my situation, I did a soft to mediums one-stop strategy, so I do think whether you do a soft to mediums or a mediums to soft, it is an option for strategy, assuming all goes well. Looking as though most of these drivers looking to qualify on the soft tires, so those who are going to be in the top 10 probably looking to go a soft to mediums, because I don't think, now Sunik, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think the two-stop is all that viable here around Monza, unless you do see early pit stops, the likes of, for example, safety cars or virtual safety cars that come out. But I think most drivers early on probably looking at the soft to medium one-stop strategy. Now, I just noticed...
No.
Oh, I think you saw that too, Mivako. That's another invalidation through Ascari, and it was looking as though he was on an absolute flyer of a lap. Even had his teammate of Lorenzo there to help him out, give him a little bit of extra tow, a little bit of extra slipstream through the second DRS straight, but unfortunately it is all for naught as Mivako going to have to abandon the lap. Both Ferraris diving into the pits, and maybe not what Mivako was hoping for, is he's going to have to wait that much longer before his car gets towed in, as the limitations of the pit crew only allow for one car to be towed in at a time. But somebody who did set a very good lap is CRL Mark, or formerly known as V-Mark. He set a 118.5, so not quick enough to beat his teammate of Cohen, who's still at the top of the leaderboards and actually on a lap right now himself, looking to go faster. But very good time from Mark, and that puts the Alfa Romeos P1 and P2 here so far in qualifying, so they're really looking as though they have a lot of pace here around Monza, which I'm sure the Italian constructor hoping for that. Cohen, that's an invalidation, so knock another one.
It's so easy, because you want to carry so much speed, Eric, through all of these corners. It's all about, we said tempo of speed. It's all about carrying all the speed momentum through the corners. It's just the slightest bit of an error, and it's just all for naught. It's just, as a driver, it's gutting, especially when you see the green time and you know you're up on it, and boom, it's all just torn away so quickly.
Oh yeah, and even more so when I was looking at Cohen, that wasn't it wasn't necessarily a blatant one either. It was one of those ones that you just happen to maybe just by a tiny little fraction of an inch, you go a little bit too far across on the wrong side of that white line, and this game, more often than not, it gets you for that. So that's one of those ones that I think, as far as Cohen's concerned, that must really hurt. Chris Nerazzurro was slowing down. I'm not too sure if he got caught up into an incident or not. I'm not seeing any damage on that Mercedes, so potentially just abandoning his lap and letting some other drivers through. although he does have somebody else coming up on his tail in the Racing Point. But I'll switch over to Dark. He's on the soft tires, looking to at least try to set a lap. Now, Dark, normally known for starting right around where he is now, right around in 15th, and looking at the alternate strategy, but potentially looking to set a lap here on the soft, see where it brings him, and possibly put himself into a top 10. And I just noticed this. I think that's Jordan, who's out of qualifying after crashing out in a Scary. I'll switch, well, I was going to switch with his teammate Irish Newt Potato as the nearest driver to him, but that car did disappear, so I think I'll point it out as Dark.
Marshals?
Yeah, Marshals very quickly here today, getting that car off the track. Looked to be a purple sector time for Dark, but that's an invalidation for the Red Bull driver. And just as he was going through, I think that was probably right on the exit of Ascari. Like you were mentioning, Billy, earlier in this session, when you were talking about the talking points. Ascari, very tricky corner, especially on the exit. That final portion of the chicane, you want to cut it, but you ride that little sausage curb, I'll call it, on the exit of Ascari, and your car is going to be in for a very, very rough time, and more often than not, you end in the wall there.
Just trying to see if you caught that one on the stream, Ari.
Potentially.
Dark not happy. Dark not happy, just absolutely sending it through the pit at about 165 miles an hour.
reminds me of somebody else in the Division 3 race. Looking at myself here in the commentator's booth. But if you want to see what happened there, tune in to the Division 3 race, but of course after the race here, because if you do, you're going to miss a fantastic race that we're going to have going on. But a little bit of cross-selling as I'm riding back with Mivako. No time on the board yet. 6.5 minutes to go in short qualifying. Going to have to start being perfect here, I think, are some of these drivers, as not much more room for mistakes here as we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. Coming through Ascari now is Mivako. We'll see if he can keep it clean. Cuts just enough of the curb, doesn't go too wide, so keeps it valid. So more or less home free on his lap. I don't think I saw any purple sector times though, so it might not necessarily be a pole position time, but I've been proven wrong before. Really extending the outside of Parabolica as he heads towards the line. It's only going to be 8th fastest for the championship leader so far, which, I'll be honest, is a bit of a shock. I was expecting a little bit of a higher jump from Mivako, just given the pace he's shown so far this season, but maybe keeping some of that pace in his back pocket, not to show his entire cards in time for the race, or maybe even looking to quickly...
He might have time to get in and get out again. As we know, it's just a bit over. You see the lap times coming in right now, so you can get around this track on an outlap in a minute 30. So he's got plenty of time to get out there. But the question is, does he have the tires? Because this is his 3rd time out there, so it's just a matter of, does he have a fresh set of softs to put in the time?
That's the thing, and I'm looking at the fitted detail, and it was a fresh set of soft tires, it appears, that he did put on for that lap. So potentially, if he's looking to use his 3rd set, he can go out on that 3rd set, but that doesn't leave him any extra fresh set of softs for the race if he does use that extra set. But potentially hoping to just use them all in qualifying and rely on his driving ability, relying on keeping out of incidents. Hopefully there are no big ones, but potentially that's the strategy for Mivako or Nole, as you might see him on the timing table, as he's going to come around, potentially come out for one last lap as he dives into the pits now. But KTM Sweden, he's on a lap, but slowing right down, pulling over. I don't think he was too happy with the lap he set. We'll move on to somebody else. Let's give the AlphaTauri of Irish Newt Potato a little bit of love, as I think he's on a flying lap right now. Coming through the end of Sector 1 into Sector 2, approaching the Lesmos. Can he keep it valid out of Lesmos 1? Yes, he does. You can see he keeps that right side of the car on the track within the limits. Came very close once again in Lesmos 2, but just seems like he's well aware of what he can and can't do around those corners, keeping it valid, and that's a very fast time, a second faster in his Sector 2 time than he was on his last lap around, so it's looking to be an absolute flyer for Irish Newt Potato. but he's going to have to find a little bit more. As Cohen, he's actually improved on that quickest time. It's a 1:18.289 as the new time to beat. Let's see what Irish Newt Potato can do in the AlphaTauri across the line, up into third. It's another time into the 1:18s, as we've got a few of them now. Irish Newt Potato's time, it's a 1:18.6, good enough for P3, just behind both Alfa Romeos of Mark and Cohen. On to Dark now in the Red Bull, just as he's about to finish his flying lap on the soft. So let's see what Dark can do, as, but actually very much so slowing down, only taking that in third. So I think he's, going to be diving into the pits is Dark, and really going to have to be very quick if he wants to get one last lap out. Nope. So
both racing points were on a lap, but seems Synchro's backed out in turn 1, leaving only D-Morts. Could have used his teammate for slipstream, but unfortunately missed the braking point into T1.
Yep, and let's see, is Krishna, no, not even Krishna's on a lap, as he is coming around Parabolica.
Time.
Let's take a look here.
Didn't improve, I mean, he improved his lap, but not position.
Okay, down to a near brought it down to a near 120 flat, but there is a bit of a gap between Synchro's time and that time set by Elbiku. So you can see, oh no, as that's Ephraim, and Ephraim is out of qualifying just as I jumped on board with him through turns 4, turns 5, that second chicane. That is another driver out of qualifying, and I think he was on a timed lap as well, so maybe just pushing a little bit too much, getting a little bit too angsty on the acceleration of the exit of the chicane, losing the back end, and there's not much runoff on the exit of that corner, so you just get greeted by wall and lots more wall. And
just as we expected, Mavako on his outlap now with plenty of time.
Oh yeah, definitely enough time to get around on track. Synchro is riding on board with him as he was finishing a lap, but did not go faster, went about a second and a half slower. But I think now might be on a bit more of a timed lap, as we're really down to the nitty-gritty. 1 minute and 15 seconds to go in this qualifying session. Let's jump over to the Haas of Nick Potgieter, as I thought he was on a flying lap, but nope, currently on an out lap. My timing tables are lying to me, but his teammate Laparta, he's just starting his flying lap right now. So let's jump over directly to the other Haas driver as he's approaching turn 1. Takes that corner much more nicely as I jump on board, cuts turn 1, stays on track through turn 2, which is exactly how you'd want to be taking it. Taking a very tight inside line through into Curva Grande at the end of Sector 1. What's it going to be? Right around same pace, 8 1/1000ths faster, but that's an invalidation for Laparta right around that same corner that we saw Ephraim not too long ago have his moment. But now for Laparta, I think that's going to be the end of his qualifying session now, as he definitely won't have time to go around and set one last lap. I'll switch back over to Mivako, to Nole in the Ferrari, and see what he can do on his final timed lap now. 10 seconds to go. Ooh, came close to the Haas of Laparta, I think it seemed there from the angle.
Down.
Oh no, so gonna have to find a lot of time here in Sector 3. Maybe got caught up into a little bit of traffic, but might have I think that was a Mercedes ahead of him for support, a little bit of a tow, if we can even count that from how far behind. So that's Chris Nerazzurro, I believe, who's just about to finish his one and only time lap. Chris Nerazzurro crosses the line up into 14th. Mivako does not improve, so will stay in 9th as of now. That's Laparta diving into the pits. Potgieter now just starting at, or not even just starting at time. Mark doesn't have a time. He is going to be invalidated. And meanwhile, Cohen looking to solidify that pole position. He's coming around Parabolica now, but I don't think he will, just looking at the Sector 3 time. And I don't think there's anybody else who's on a flying lap right now.
P3.
Oh, so that was, okay, so Simi just jumped up into P3. Thank you for that, Asunic. The eyes just completely didn't see it, and I think that might have been KTM Sweden who brought his time right up into P8. going a little bit faster than the time that was set very early on from Jordan. And for KTM Sweden, a decent qualifying puts himself up into the top 10 on those soft tires. But I think that'll do it here once Cohen's car gets towed into the pits. That's going to be the end of short qualifying. And it is going to be an Alfa Romeo front row lockout as Cohen and Mark qualify P1 and P2 respectively, with the Williams of Simi putting that lap together when it counted, rounding out the top 3 for the Williams. Irish Newt Potato in 4th, Krishna rounding out the top 5, Potgetter in 6th, Laparta in 7th, KTM Sweden in 8th, Jordan in 9th, and Demorts in the Racing Point rounding out the top 10. All 10 of these drivers starting on the soft tires. Poor man's pole position, so a little consolation prize for Mivako as he qualifies in 11th, Efrom in 12th, Synchro in 13th, Chris Nerazzurro in 14th, El Biku rounds out the top 15, with Lorenzo and Dark in 16th and 17th. Dark, though, the only driver who does not have a time set on the board. So, do you think Dark puts on the mediums, or do you think he puts on a set of hard tires like we've grown accustomed to seeing time and time again?
I mean, at this point, if he doesn't throw on a set of hard tires, it's kind of like, whoa. So I'm pretty sure you'll see Dark try and extend. He's done this so often in the past. It's expected now. So, I mean, it's not going to hurt him. His results speak for themselves. He may start back there, but he certainly doesn't finish. I just noticed also his teammate Vito is missing today in the other Red Bull.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that in the timing tables, but now that you mention it, that is true. Vito is not here, will not be racing, so a little bit more pressure on Dark to bring home some decent points, hopefully for the Red Bull squad. For that battles in the constructor, that battle in the drivers. Jordan wasting no time this week as he very quickly jumps on that ready up button here to jump straight into the racing action. And I think potentially, I wouldn't say we had much of a delay between for the start of Division 2, but maybe that slight delay played into a factor of jumping right into the action here. But
yeah, could I just want to mention some battles before we get started. Top 3 again, we're just separated by a mere 60 points. Mavako out front with 249, 50 points clear of Irish Stew Potato, and Laparta sitting in 3rd, 10 points behind Irish Stew Potato. There's some close battles too as we look through Demort and Cruz, who I don't see Cruz here today, but Demort and Cruz separated by 1 point. You got guys like Dark and Synchro separated by 4, and then you got Cohen and Efrom tied with 49 points apiece, but Cohen showing he's going for a good points all today, so look forward to that. And also we got Kurt Valletta, who's not here, and Albik, who's separated by 4 points. So this is still close battles throughout the field, but Cohen looking to make a huge leap today.
Oh, definitely, and he set himself up very well to do so, qualifying on pole. But of course, qualifying is only half the job. You still have 27 laps of racing to go before you can truly celebrate that great result. And as we've seen, anything can happen. Now, of course, I've already run us through the order, so we've got the top 10 here, all starting on the softs. Mivako and Efrom in 11th and 12th, both putting on the medium tires. Synchro, Chris Nerazzurro, Lorenzo on the softs. El Biku, he's putting on the medium tires. And I think, I'll be honest, I think Dark knows, I think he maybe either has the stream open or just knows his strategy down to a T, as he is the only driver on the hard tires. So could be going much longer than everybody else.
Yeah, probably lap 26.
That's what I was going to mention. And that's sort of a talking point I was going to bring up if we had a little bit more time before the formation lap, where as much as putting on those hard tires it is the Dark strategy after all. Here in Monza, where we more or less see a one-stop either way, do you think it would have been maybe a little bit more beneficial for Dark to just put on those medium tires, and since you're more or less shooting for that one-stop, just do a mediums to softs, take that extra pace on the mediums?
In my practice during the week, I did not enjoy the hard tires whatsoever. They were not, I just felt like they didn't have speed or the grip, and they just would change periodically throughout a run. They were too inconsistent and pretty much didn't know what you were going to get. So I'd rather have done a 2-stop if necessary, but I got the I went the medium wall strategy. So.
Yeah, but I think as far as Dark is concerned, I figure he probably knows those hard tires better than anybody else on the
planet.
In any of our 4 divisions here. So if there's anybody who can pull off that hard to softs, it is going to be Dark. But here we go. We are at the end of the formation lap, awaiting the 5 red lights. And here we go, up to 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 red lights. They're off, and we are racing, and it looks to be a good start from the likes of the leaders, Cohen and Mark, as they're barreling down. We've got some battling for positioning here, but already a tiny little bit of separation. I think I saw 3 wide here going into turn 1, at least 2 wide. Side by side is Simi and Irish New Potato. That's Irish New Potato going wide and getting caught up. Oh my goodness, there's a car on top of another, as that is KTM Sweden riding Krishna just a tiny little bit, gets back on track. Maybe a bit of a visual glitch here in the commentary's booth.
I saw the same thing. Oh my goodness.
And very quickly, that's KTM shutting the door on Leparto. I'm going to get back to that in a moment, but still so much battling for position, even further behind the field as everybody gets through the first few corners safely. There look to be Jordan going a little bit wide, Synchro putting a lot of pressure on his teammate, but gonna have to watch out for the overtake. You don't want to take both racing points out, but maybe a swap of positions here between D-Morts and Synchro heading down into Ascari, but not much in terms of overtaking, but the battles are going to be brewing here in these early stages, especially once DRS opens. Mivako down into 10th, he's already trying to make moves, getting up ahead of Jordan as he's going to go down the inside, leading into Parabolica, gets the overtake done, and right behind them I saw Chris Nerazzurro trying to get by Synchro, but Synchro doing a good defensive job, holding back the, and that is going to be Jordan, excuse me, diving into the pits here after lap 1. He's tired of those tires. Lorenzo getting past the Mercedes of Chris Nerazzurro, leading into turn 1. They're going to go side by side here. A little bit of contact, and now that was Michael Fierez trying to get involved. They're 3 wide on the exit here, and it's Chris Nerazzurro who's up into 13th. Lorenzo and Elbiku still battling it out, but this battle is just beginning as they're going 3 wide into the next chicane section. That was Michael Fierez. Elbiku who now gets the overtake. We've got some yellow fags flying. D-Morts is around, as you mentioned, Sunik, as he gets caught up into the incident there, going a little bit slower. But I think now this battle's taken a little bit of a breather now, but for how long, as I think it's only a matter of time before Lorenzo comes right back. But hang on a minute, KTM Sweden now still putting a lot of pressure on Simi, and this might be another battle that's going to be brewing that we're going to see possibly some more overtaking, especially once DRS opens. But my goodness, what a very hectic first 2 laps we had, and other than a yellow flag, still very clean from all the drivers here. As now
3 wide and then into 3 wide again, and nobody touched one another. That is astounding driving.
And that's the type of racing we want to see. And speaking of, here comes Krishna now, thinking about making an overtake on Irish Nude Potato, but Irish Nude Potato positioning that car perfectly. But hang on a minute, Krishna I think gets a little bit of better traction on the exit, but he's got the outside line, trying to switch over to the inside line, but Irish Nude Potato defends very well. But this is going to be the inside of the corner, but does not have enough pace to get the overtake done before the corner shows up. But speaking of overtaking, Lorenzo on Elbiku once again, 1 lap later, you're seeing the switchback move from the Ferrari driver. He gets the inside, going side by side around Lesmos. Oh, there's a little bit of a tank slapper there. Almost gets caught up in an instant with Chris Nerazzurro as Lorenzo, but saves the car, gets it slowed down, and only loses out on that 1 position in the process. So very, very wheel-to-wheel racing, but very clean racing in these early stages. Oh no, and that's KTM Sweden out of this race. Let's ride on board with Elbiku. What happened here? And that's Simi getting spun. Oh my goodness, was that more drivers getting caught up into that? As D-Mort slowing down, getting a bit of a better view. That was KTM Sweden out, Simi falling way down the order. And who was that got involved with it as well? Was that maybe, we'll see maybe once the pit stops happen. Demorts potentially, as he is all the way down in 15th. But
He did have
Lorenzo...
that spin when they were going 3 wide into the De La Rocha chicane, so that might have been it. That was very, I'd say sketchy is the least you could say. That stricken car of Sweden didn't seem to be ghosted at all, and drivers had to take evasive. Albiku, his teammate, almost slammed the inside wall, just trying to make sure, because as a driver, you can't tell if that car was ghosted or not, and you don't want to take the risk of ruining your races. That could have been a lot worse than it was.
Oh no, and between, I'll be honest, we didn't quite get to see the incident itself, as I was watching the other battle between Lorenzo and Elbiku, but when we finally got there, between what happened, excuse me, let me just take a moment here to just process what happened, but between where KTM Sweden's car was placed, the wreck, or I guess whatever was left of it, and Simi's car trying to get back on track, almost a bit of a blockade there, and very unsurprisingly, lots of drivers, I think, maybe slamming the brakes on the exit of what is normally a high-speed chicane of Ascari, just trying not to get caught up in that incident.
Could have happened at a worst possible spot in the track, and he's got a drive-through penalty for speeding under safety car, so Simi's race going from worse to worse than worse. But yeah, you got to picture how fast you're exiting Ascari, and your sole focus is to pretty much keep the car straight as you're leaving. It's already a difficult corner as it is, and then you just see 2 Formula 1 cars parked just sideways in the middle of the track. It's a brown pants moment at that moment for you, especially like guys like Albiku and Lorenzo, who are side by side battling for position. Just seeing that, whew.
Whew. So a bit of a breather here on lap 5. You felt with how much these drivers were pushing one another, it almost felt like as if it was more of a matter of when this first incident was going to happen. Given the battles we saw, drivers did such a good job of keeping things as clean as they possibly could. I mean, definitely some elbows out racing, battling for position, but it was clean by all definition. But I'll be honest, like I said, I didn't quite get to see what happened with the incident itself. Sunik, did you get a view of that at all, or were you sort of watching the same battle I was?
My view from that was on board with Elbiku, who is heading right towards his car, and at the last second turned right. But when he turned right, that's where on the exit of Ascari, that Armco barrier kind of juts out back onto the track. So he was stuck between a rock and a rock, and somehow slid through. It was close. That was my perspective. I just saw when you said that he was he'd been out of the race. I tried to get to the next car to pass the incident so I could get my view of it, and it was like the worst view. I got scared, and I'm not even driving the car.
Yeah, and I mean, it might be something. I mean, okay, first things first, I definitely got terrified as well as soon as I finally caught somebody on board just to see what was going on. Even more so when I looked behind and saw the gaggle of cars that were coming, what looked to be 2x2 or 3 wide on the exit, slowing down for that. But it might be something possibly the stewards would look into. We didn't quite get a best view of the incident, but it could have also just been, something. Yeah, it could have just been, we know how difficult the exit of Ascari chicane is. It could have been something that either Simi or even KTM Sweden maybe clipped that inside curb a little bit, lost control of the car, and just wrong place, wrong time for the other driver, getting caught up into the incident, into the spin, with of course, once you clip that curb and you lose control, as much as you hate to say it, you become essentially a passenger in that Formula 1 car until it either slows down, hits the wall, or anything else that comes into its path, which might have been another Formula 1 car in this case. But
now, here's some interesting stuff here. Nobody in the top 11 came in for new tires. They're sticking with the strategy, it would seem. There's people back there, but it could be wing damage stuff. But they're already leaders around 5 laps softs. Still just planning to stick to the strategy.
Yeah, and I'm thinking maybe the safety car coming out just a little bit too early to warn some of these soft tire runners to take their pit stop. Because here, even if you pit on lap 4, lap 5, you're essentially, unless you put on the hard tires, which to be fair, the likes of Synchro, Chris Nerazzurro, Lorenzo, they all opted for that strategy as the safety cars coming in this lap. I think if you were committed to the one-stop soft to mediums, if you're unless you put on the hard tires, you're essentially forcing yourself into a two-stop strategy, which might not be what a lot of these leaders are hoping to do. But here we go. Safety car is coming in this lap. Back to green flag racing as Cohen becomes the essential de facto safety car, waiting for the restart, which I think is just about now as the safety car dove into the pits across the line. And yes, we are back to green flag racing, and it looks to be a good start from the top three, but Krishna getting a nice jump, gonna try already to go down the outside of Irish Newt Potato, taking a long way around. There's a little bit of contact there as, Irish Newt Potato coming back, trying to squeeze out Nick Potgetter just a little bit. Now Laparta gonna get involved here as he's gonna try to overtake his teammate around the outside. I think we're gonna be going 2 by 2 into this next overtaking zone. Definitely side by side it looked like between Krishna and Irish New Potato. Krishna, I think, going wide, maybe having to give that position to Irish New Potato, but nope, not without a fight at the very least here, as we're still one behind another, 3 wide, a little bit of a train of cars as they come through Lesmos 2, able to keep it clean. Krishna still in 3rd, Irish New Potato in 4th. Nick Potgetter rounding out the top 5 with his teammate of Laparta right behind for a little bit of support. And good positioning for the 2 Haas drivers here in these early stages. And even a little bit further behind, you've got some battles. It looks like Jordan is looking to possibly try to make a move on Synchro. Both medium tire runners here, or actually Synchro's on the soft tires. But I think that might brew a little bit more once DRS is active and up and running. But I'm gonna keep...
I don't know if you saw anything, but Dark took the... Who's retired?
That's Simi who's out, and it looks as though that is going to bring out another safety car, as Simi, he was not having the race he was hoping for there after getting caught up into that incident a little bit earlier, and I think maybe lost the back end, similar to what happened to KTM Sweden, because that car looks to be just parked, stand still right on the exit of Ascari from what I can see on the minimap.
I know that spot.
Yep, I know it very well myself from the countless incidents. Now, unfortunately, from what I was seeing on the screen here, if you're Laparta, that safety car probably came out at the worst possible time, as he had just gotten ahead of his teammate. He had just gotten ahead of Nick Potgetter, and I think still the Haas teammates just trying to figure out who gets which position, as it looks to be they look to be battling here under the safety car with one another.
Sorry about that.
But I think Laparta felt he had the overtake done by the time the safety car came out. The game felt differently. Potgetter naturally feels a little bit differently about it, as I think now they finally got that sorted just a little bit. Potgetter
by the time the safety car ends, aren't they going to be at their window? Is that the question?
It seems like it. We'll have to keep an eye out. Here comes Cohen. He's taking his pit stop. Krishna following suit, and everybody other than Mark, as far as the top runners on those soft tires look to be concerned, they're taking their pit stop. Mark, he's staying out. Now, I'm not surprised Mark is staying out, because if he did take his pit stop, he might be losing out a little bit more, as he would have been forced to double stack with his teammate.
Yeah, but he's going to lose out a lot more now.
Yeah, that is, I mean, that's a fair point that he's going to be losing out, as he's stuck now, he's unable to manage that delta, just stuck behind whatever the safety car does. But for Mark, would you have gone in, if you were Mark in that position, would you have taken the double stack either way, or would you do what he's doing, wait the extra lap, and then just take that pit stop just one lap later?
You would have had to. I would have pit 100%, because look at the guys. They're being told there's no delta for the guys that just pitted. They're told to just catch up to the back of the safety car queue, because they're going at race speed right now to catch up. So they're going to be all line astern, one right after the other by the time they get to the pit entrance again. So if he pits, he's going to go from 1st to 15th.
Yeah.
I would have 100% pit under that. I would have just ate the double stack, because you just got to do it at that point. You compromise your race if you don't.
Yeah, but crucially, now that I'm looking at the order here, just Well, you mentioned that. I don't think it would have made much of a difference
Oh
either
yeah,
way. Because
Cohen's
look at
14th. Yeah.
Cohen. Cohen got stuck in traffic even after he put those tires on. I think with everybody else needing to get by. So Krishna essentially has the net lead once these pit stops are said and done. Assuming the likes of Synchro, Lorenzo, Chris Nerazzurro end up taking one more pit stop, which, to be fair, they might be able to stay out. But Cohen, all the way down in 14th, so even with Mark, if he took his pit stop, he would have just come out just behind Laparta, which really, compared to where his teammate is, only one car to overtake. But actually,
Cohen.
Mark is staying out.
Cohen says in our comments on the live stream, he said, "Oh my God, he got held up by the Haas double stacking." So, from the lead to P14 because of another team's double stack. That's gotta hurt.
Yep, definitely gotta hurt for him, that's for sure. Cause yeah, I guess that would make sense given the likes of Krishna and Potgetter, who were right up there, 9th and 10th. But yeah, for Cohen, definitely gonna have a recovery drive ahead of him now, as all the way down in 14th, and sees his teammate still leading. Mark is staying out. Now, this brings up maybe just another possible strategy for Mark. Do you think maybe he waits until safety car comes in, conserves a little bit of tire wear on these soft tires, and try to build a gap within the first few laps, and then take a pit stop under green flag? Given that at this point, what does he have to lose? Either he pits under safety car, ends up at the back of the field, or he just tries this, goes a little bit longer, and worst case scenario, he ends up at the back of the field.
There's no scenario in which he doesn't end up at the back. That's just the thing. There's no scenario that plays out right now, because we got guys. There's still 8 guys before him that have yet to make a pit stop, but I think Chris Nerazzurro actually did. Now there's a couple guys that made a pit stop, so let's bring up the stops.
Yes, I think the likes of, Synchro, Lorenzo, Chris Nerazzurro, they pit on that first safety car for the hard tires. Maybe Jordan did as well after getting, but he's on the mediums.
Stops.
Yeah, so Jordan, and I think Jordan's gonna have to maybe take one last pit stop. Uh-oh, you don't like to see that. 5-second penalties for collision under this restart here. But speaking of, now Mark leading the way on the restart, and it looks like Synchro now getting a very good jump off the restart, already going side by side. There's a little bit of wheel contact between he and Ephraim as they're battling for position. Jordan right behind, looking to get involved too. Ooh, and that was El Biku, yes, going completely missing his braking zone, having to navigate the barriers there, getting back on track. Takes a 3-second penalty for corner cutting in the process. Now Synchro trying to get past El Biku. He does, as he's still trying to keep up with Ephraim. And meanwhile, this has all allowed Mark to get a nice little 1.9 second, 2-second gap nearly in the process. And meanwhile, his teammate Cohen already up into 9th. He's made a few overtakes right off the safety car restart. Finds himself back into a top 10 position. But what happened to the likes of Krishna and Potgetter? Because now Cohen, after being behind all of these drivers, finds himself in 9th. Krishna, Potgetter down in 12th and 13th.
Dark restarted the last safety car restart in 10th. And then, right when I was about to say, hey, what happened to Dark? And then Simi had crashed. And then, so he stayed out again, and Dark was up into 5th. And now he's back into 15th. I keep missing what's going on, but...
Yeah, I think honestly, I think both of us maybe in the commentaries booth a little bit rusty here with all the action going on. Because I was about to ask if you saw what happened to Dark, even Krishna and Potgetter as they're way down the order. Hang on, this is an overtake I might be able to catch finally. Irish New Potato and Lorenzo going side by side into turn 1. Whole bunch of kerfuffle happening right behind us. We've got 4 or 5 cars nearly you could throw a blanket on. Cohen getting involved too. Jordan now getting ahead of Lorenzo, or re-getting ahead of Lorenzo as they're still battling it out. It's the AlphaTauris versus the Ferraris here, it seems, in this stage of the race for this middle to upper pack. Jordan oh so close to his teammate, but gonna have to watch out. You don't want to be lagging behind all that much, given you've got those Ferraris lurking in the background. But if you're the Ferraris, you got to watch out for the very, very fast Cohen, who's right behind, buying his time, and when he sees that overtake opportunity, he will. But here comes, it looked as though the Ferraris might have tried to switch positions there leading into Ascari, but no, Lorenzo, he's having none of it. He wants to hold on to that P7 for the time being. He doesn't want to give it up to his teammates, show that he's still got some pace here. But now Cohen
got to get by Lorenzo fast. He's on a different tire.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and Laparta now getting past D-Morts. But no, Mivako really gonna have to get by, or he might risk getting overtaken by Cohen, who's now right behind. Irish New Potato got past Ilbiku a little bit further ahead. I think leading into turn 1. Is Cohen gonna try a move? No, but that was Laparta who was gonna try a move there, but just didn't get it done into turn 1, and trying to go the long way around of turn 2 is not going to end well for you. Irish New Potato now coming back, taking the long way around. Oh, there was a little bit of contact between he and Elbiku as they're coming into turn 4. The chicane, more contact, and that's Elbiku having to go a little bit deep. He's getting involved now side by side with the Ferrari as he gets back on track of Mivako. Elbiku now down into 7th. I'll take a moment here. What happened to Krishna right behind?
Krishna was making a move down the inside of D-Morts through the Curva Grande, which led to Krishna was there the entire time heading up to the De La Rosa chicane, and D-Morts just, he kind of put his own, his left or right rear onto Krishna's front left and subsequently into the wall and spun around. He's dropped to the back. He's got to have massive wing damage after that, but he just didn't see the Renault beside him.
I see. So, sorry, I'm caught up with this battle going on here between, it was Cohen and Laparta going side by side. They're still side by side now after Parabolica. Who's gonna get it? Cohen actually has nowhere to go with the McLaren behind. Oh my goodness! Oh no! What happened there? That was, that could have been much worse for Elbiku, as I thought he lost it. There goes Lorenzo around, as you said there. He's down into 11th. It's all going off here. Yellow flags in Sector 1. Nick Potgetter gets past Elbiku as he's going a little bit slow. Now, oh, Nole and Laparta going side by side. Mivako going deep. That's Krishna getting ahead, and now Nick Potgetter wants to get ahead. He does get ahead into the first Lesmos. What is going on?
It looked like Elbiku missed his braking zone, kind of like a Sebastian Vettel versus Max Verstappen in Great Britain. He just locked up right into the back of the Ferrari, pushed Mivako through the middle. He got a 10-second penalty for pushing Mivako. Mivako got 5 seconds, then came back on track, and everybody's been on top of each other since we restarted since the last safety car. It's a ticking time bomb. Everybody's just going for it.
And now Krishna is going for a move on Laparta. So all of this battling is going on for possibly net lead. Laparta maybe clipped a little bit of inside grass there, but still keeping his nose in there. But Krishna does get the overtake done. But I do want to keep an eye out here because we might have a move for the lead of the race. Here comes Synchro and Ephraim to go side by side into turn 1. Irish New Potato now lurks in the shadows, going 3 wide now for the lead of the race. What a shot this is here. Irish New Potato takes the lead. Synchro down in 2nd. Ephraim finds himself in 3rd all of a sudden, but Synchro going back down the inside. There's a little bit of contact now between Ephraim and Irish New Potato, but Ephraim going slow, and that's Jordan now saying, I'm going to take this overtake if Ephraim, you're going too slow. Jordan goes up into 3rd, Ephraim in 4th, and Cohen now finds himself in 5th, right behind of all of this, and now he might be trying to overtake Ephraim into Ascari. You can see he's got a little bit of pace, not much ERS to work with, as nope, slowing down as we're stuck in a little bit of a DRS train for the time being. But Irish New Potato, he's hungry. He wants this overtake on Synchro. He's on the fresher tires. See Synchro on the hards, which Synchro driving a heck of a race here. He is going forward down the inside of Parabolica. How is Synchro going to react now? Is he going to try to come right back into turn 1? Gonna have to watch out.
Massive exit.
And that's the thing, Jordan, the teammate to Irish New Potato, gets a decent exit here, and right behind, Ephraim and Cohen going side by side. Let's just right on board with Ephraim as Cohen goes by. You're seeing Jordan, he's trying everything he can to try to get ahead. But now Cohen's in 4th, Ephraim down in 5th as he's starting to maybe feel the wear on those medium tires. But now Jordan, Synchro, Irish New Potato, the top 3, it's still anybody's to play for here, but Irish New Potato leading the way on track here on lap 16 out of 27, and already in a blink of an eye, 11 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and I'll be honest here, it feels like we've only had 5 laps, given how quickly
it's been a
and
lot
how...
of safety cars, but it's also had equally as much accident, I'd say more. What an amazing run by Jordan, too. Up in the podium spots, fighting for P2 to nestle in behind his teammate in the lead. What a run.
Definitely what a run from Jordan. And Jordan, he's, I'm looking here, now he's a driver in the top 3 here. He's going to have to watch out for Cohen, who's on slightly fresher medium tires. But out of the top 3 right now, Jordan's the only one who's driven a clean race. So Jordan could still see himself getting a very good finishing position if things stay the way they do until the end of the race now, unless he does end up making some mistakes. But I think after the honestly after the penalty-filled Abu Dhabi Jordan had, I think part of his practice was focusing on those track limits, focusing on keeping it clean, and it's definitely paying out for him here in this stage as he's got 10 laps to go. And finds himself into a very good position, albeit now losing ground to the top 2 of Synchro and Irish New Potato, who seemingly now are getting a little bit further ahead, albeit now gap floating around within a second.
Yeah, Ephraim looks like he might be holding up Krishna here. Ephraim still hasn't pit. He's been on those tires since the beginning of the race, so he's got to let Krishna by because it's essentially just going to help out Cohen and Jordan to not release Krishna, who has the pace. I think they're going to swap here. We'll see. Yeah, it'd make no sense to race your teammate in that situation. Smart move by them.
Plus now equally, this lets Ephraim on the slightly more worn tires focus on Laparta behind and create, if Ephraim's battling Laparta, it will allow Krishna just to create a little bit of a gap to try to close up on Cohen without having to worry about the driver behind. But you can see the Renault's kind of duck
off at the pit.
Yeah, and I think that was the only thing that was going to stop that strategy. But with Ephraim on those 16-lap-old medium tires, I figured it might have only been a matter of time. As now, look at how close Cohen is to Jordan, down to 0.3 of a second, right behind the AlphaTauri here, and we might see Cohen maybe try and overtake before the end of this lap. You can see the pace difference now going to be Jordan defending down the outside right as Cohen was about to take that outside line. That nearly created a bit of an incident between the two drivers. But thankfully, Cohen well aware.
Would be happy about that.
No, I don't think he's going to be too happy, but well aware of seeing, predicting that slowing down, but probably fuming in the cockpit of that Alfa Romeo for sure, as he's going to have to try again. Potentially, if he gets a good exit out of Ascari, he might be able to just make a move down into Parabolica. But speaking of, very quick, you could call it very quick karma, as Jordan, on the exit of Ascari, keeps the car out of the wall at the very least, avoids damage, but finds himself down in 8th position, as he loses out on a few positions. Laparta now right up behind Krishna as the leaders are starting lap 19. Maybe with the help of DRS, you can see the exit Laparta's getting. Makes very quick work of Krishna down the start-finish straight into turn 1. And all Krishna can do is watch as that Haas of Laparta gets ahead up into 4th. But now it's Krishna's turn. He's behind. He should be able to keep that gap in check to take his turn at DRS and maybe try to overtake Laparta to take that position right back.
I want to add, I was genuinely talking smack about these hard tires, but Synchro has seemed to make these things really work. Now we know him and Irish New Potato they're gonna go to the end here, but Will there be a pace advantage for Synchro towards the end of this race? Because he's kept within DRS range. I mean, he might have lost it there. No, he's still in DRS range. But he's kept up with them, even being on the harder tire, and generally a tire that no one really uses. So, oh, and as I mentioned, he goes a little bit wide.
Uh-oh, that's not what you want to have happen if you're Synchro. But I think that's the thing. Synchro may be switching that strategy after that first safety car, getting on the hard tires very early, essentially pulling off a quote-unquote zero stop strategy, given he took his pit stop under the safety car, living with that track position. But now he's going to have to be essentially perfect for these last 7 laps of the race, as with that last mistake, you can see he's out of DRS range of Irish New Potato. Cohen behind is within DRS range. And, I mean, I heard you mention, I heard an and did you see
I just
something?
realized, I saw something with the brain this time. We're going to have essentially, if you remember Japan, how close it was at the end, and then the 4th place car wins the race. That 4th place car was the Haas driver of Laparta. Now, if you just go over your details and pull up the penalties, Laparta, if the race finished now, would be the winner of this race due to the penalties for the guys in front of him. Again, from 4th to 1st.
My goodness, this is, I mean, we've got so far this year, we have the D-Mort strategy, which is the dark strategy. I'm getting my D's mixed up. But now it seems like we've got the Laparta strategy of lurk in 4th, keep that gap close, and just keep a clean race. But still, with 7 laps to go, anything can happen here, as Lorenzo takes a 5-second penalty for corner cutting. Here comes Cohen now on Synchro. Synchro was in the grass just a little bit, braking much earlier than Cohen into Parabolica, and I think that goes to show maybe the wear Synchro is starting to feel now, as now you see Synchro down into 3rd, Cohen up into 2nd, and he can start trying to close that gap on Irish Nude Potato. And this might also mean that Laparta is going to have to try to get a bit more of a move on now, as now that he might be stuck, he could potentially be stuck behind Synchro, but this allows Cohen a lot of clean air now to try to make that push, possibly battle for the lead of this race here, if he can. Words are difficult for me here. Lots has been going on track, but looking at Cohen's penalty, he has only 3 seconds of penalties compared to Laparta's none. So if Cohen can create that 3-second gap, he should be essentially home free if he can keep it clean between now until the end of the race. My goodness, that was difficult to get that point across, but I did it.
Yep, but Christian is coming back at Laparta now. He's not giving up on 4th.
Oh no, and I think even with those, because even with the 14 seconds for Krishna, maybe, I think you saw that too. Laparta nearly compromising that race there on himself with the exit out of Ascari, and this is where mistakes can be at their greatest, with these tires now being a little bit more worn than they were in the early stages of the race. Down to 12 laps for a lot of these medium tire runners. Synchro 17-lap-old hard tires. But that's the thing. Now that these tires are a little bit more worn, they're not going to have as much grip as these drivers might be used to. And once they do hit part 1, I guess I could say, of the cliff, that might be where drivers might want to exercise just a tiny little bit more caution through Ascari, or possibly take that risk on of more easily losing out on the back end, as we saw what happened to Laparta just 1 lap ago.
I've seen Synchro with a lot of wheel spin coming out of the chicanes too, so towards the end of these stints, when the tires start to wear, like, you're gonna feel a lot of grip loss on these curbs.
Oh, definitely, and I think this is, Laparta's already seeing that just a tiny little bit on those 12-lap-old medium tires. Synchro probably seeing that too. I'm even riding on board with Krishna, and I wouldn't necessarily say there was too much of a lift, but maybe not going as crazy as he would through the Ascari complex as you would on those fresher set. Maybe if they were, of course, 1, 2, 3-lap old medium tires. I think maybe now a lot of drivers, given that, I'll be honest, a few gaps are starting to form, drivers may be battling a little bit more in terms of penalties rather than possible on-track overtakes, at least in this stage of the race. But now just trying to nurse the car home in one piece, because of course every driver who finishes the race now guaranteed to get at least a point, given we're down to 15 runners.
Yeah, Cohen's created that gap to Leparc to where he's looking to be in the driver's seat of the win here.
Yep, and no, Jordan, I think on that fresh set of soft tires, after taking that pit stop, he just set a fastest lap, and now going side by side on Dark, gets the, looks like he does get the overtake done, but Dark still battling as much as he can on his soft tires, so it's a soft v soft battle here. They're gonna be going side by side into the next corner. Oh, and looks like that was Dark, maybe taking the Lance Stroll line, I guess I could say, through the chicanes of turn 4, turn 5, missing that braking point, having to go a little bit wide, and that allows Jordan to very easily complete that overtake to go up into a top 10 position, as he's now trying to work his way back up the grid after that mistake a few laps ago on the exit of the Ascari chicane complex. But, ooh, we have a yellow flag here. That's Lorenzo. Okay, so that's Lorenzo in the pits, but that's a retirement out of
around
Lorenzo.
The outside.
Yeah, right as I switch over to it, a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there between Krishna and Leparcta, as it looks as though Krishna does get the overtake done, but Leparcta coming right back on the exit of turn 2 through Curva Grande, right back up into 4th goes Leparcta, but now this right on board with Krishna as he's so close now. Is he going to try to get the move back? Doesn't look as though he gets the traction into the first Lesmos, but if he can just manage the exit here out of Lesmos 2, get the slight better exit than Leparcta, he might be able to make a push, as now this is Mark and Nick Potgetter exchanging positions. Mark up into 7th, Potgetter down into 8th, as I think on that fresher set of tires, Mark just gets a little bit more traction, gets the overtake done, but here comes Potgetter right back on Mark. Is he going to try to get the move done? No, slows down a little bit early, doesn't want to try to force something down the inside into Ascari. I think nursing this car home, maybe realizing that with the penalties he has, maybe the overtake, I don't want to say isn't worth it, but doesn't feel as though he can create enough of a gap to nullify the penalties he has compared to Mark, who doesn't have any in thus far at this stage of the race. But here comes Krishna right back on Leparcta. They're going to have to go down the outside. They're going to go side by side again. It's the outside becoming the inside here, and Leparcta, is he going to get traction this time around? Doesn't quite get it on the initial exit, but we'll see in phase 2 now as he's using a lot of ERS. Gonna try to go around the outside of Curva Grande, which turns into the inside of the chicane, slowing down much earlier than Krishna. Doesn't want to get involved into an incident, and Leparcta settles for P5 in this stage on lap 25, but this battle, I think, is going to be continuing onwards until probably essentially the end of the race.
Ravaco's caught back to these guys, too.
Oh, and now he might want to get involved on those hard tires. They are the same amount of wear as Leparcta and Krishna, but on the hard tires, maybe this might be where Mivako is going to get a slight little bit of pace advantage to the likes of Leparcta and Krishna, given that his tires have, they're on same lap olds, but maybe slightly less worn than the likes of those of Leparcta and Krishna, might not be falling off a cliff nearly as quickly, as it's all to play for here, it seems, in the last few laps. Ooh, Leparcta going a little bit wide on the exit, just rides that wide line. Maybe a warning there. Cohen overtaking Irish Newt Potato to take the lead of the race on the penultimate lap while all of that was happening into turn 1. So, job half done for Cohen now as he takes the lead, and crucially looking at the gaps now, it might be, I think he's clear now, unless something drastic happens. Jordan now getting ahead of Ephraim with the help of DRS. Ephraim battling back, but I don't think has enough in the tank to push that side-by-side move into turn 1. No, as it is Jordan up into 9th, Ephraim down into 10th, and that was for position as they both have 3 seconds of time penalties. But still, a lots to play for here as we're down to the final lap and a half of the race. It is Cohen leading the way here on lap 26 out of 27. Irish Nude Potato in second, Synchro in third, Krishna in fourth, but all eyes, at least for now, are on Laparta as to what he can do. Can he close up enough of a gap and create enough of that separation to possibly get that final podium position? He will be overtaking Krishna for fourth, but is the likes of Synchro going to be able to have enough of a gap, or is Laparta going to be able to keep it clean? Yes, another very wide exit, and that's the second lap in a row that Laparta takes that wide exit, with the marshals maybe batting the other cheek, looking the other way, or possibly a second warning for Laparta, his only two of the race perhaps, as he's going to have to be perfect here on lap 27 if that is the case. Dark now overtaking Ephraim, as I think Ephraim had an issue through into Parabolica. Here comes Mivako now on Laparta, as Laparta falling into sixth position, as that's Nole. Mivako overtaking to go up into fifth. We'll be losing that on penalties, but this is going to create a bit more separation, as I think Laparta's tires might just have given up here in these final few laps. I think that pace that he had is just starting to fall off ever so slightly here. But Cohen leading the race, leading the way here after qualifying on pole. Definitely had his work cut out for him. Found himself in 14th, but coming around Parabolica now, he's crossing the line. You can see the celebration as he takes the victory. Irish Nude Potato in second for now, but where's Synchro? Where is this going to put Synchro? Synchro stays in third. Krishna in fourth. Mivako up into fourth, and that is Laparta on the podium. He just closes up enough to take that podium position up into P3, as Mark's close, but not close enough in fourth. Synchro is in fifth. Potgetter in sixth. Mivako falls down into seventh, with Krishna down in eighth. Jordan in ninth. Dark rounding out the top 10, as it's Ephraim now crossing the line in 11th. Chris Nerazzurro around Parabolica, around the final corner. He is going to come home in 12th, with Dean Mortz, the last of the lead car laps, coming home in 13th. But my oh my, Monza, you have not disappointed here, and thank you for putting on a fantastic race once again.
Absolutely, that's everything we would have hoped for. We started the race with a high level of intensity, and we certainly finished it out with that same level of intensity. What a race.
Definitely, what a race that was. Holy moly, I have to catch my breath after the...
Crucially, Mivako's rivals in the championship both finishing ahead of him on the podium too. So, we saw it go backwards for Irish Nude Potato and Laparta last week. It's moved forward this week, so...
Yep, crazy how 1 week can just shift momentum like that. Now all of a sudden, like you said, after last week of essentially Mivako getting a whole bunch of points while his main rivals got nothing, now here we are 1 week later, it's the other way around, as some, like you said, Irish Nude Potato, Laparta finding themselves on the podium. Mivako...
P7's not bad.
Still in P7, but that's a lot of points possibly left on the table compared to your rivals there. But one more time through the grid, it is Cohen taking that car from pole to first, but definitely not an easy race for him. He takes the victory. Irish Nude Potato in second, Laparta rounding out the podium, Mark in fourth, Synchro in fifth, Potgetter in sixth, Mivako in seventh, Krishna in eighth, Jordan in ninth, and Dark rounding out the top 10. Ephraim in 11th, Chris Nerazzurro in 12th, Demors in 13th, Michael Fures in 14th, Lorenzo rounding out the top 15 with Simi in KTM Sweden 16th and 17th. That is the order for the Italian Grand Prix, which was a fantastic race for certain. And now I think it's just about time to move on to the podium interviews. Now, Asunik, did we have anybody who jumped in already, expecting that interview into the commentators' booth?
I'm trying to add them as fast as I can. I know Laparta has mentioned before that he's not very pronounced in English, but we'll still give him the chance. I just my PlayStation's going slow, so I can't get to Irish Nude Potato because I do believe he's hiding offline.
That's quite all right. As
Owen.
Not ideal, but we'll see if we can get them in. In the meantime, if we get Cohen in, I'll slap that race-winning Alfa Romeo on the screen for everybody to watch at home in the showroom as we wait for the podium. Or I mean, we'll try the top 3, but maybe possibly the top 2 that'll jump in for the podium interview. And there we go.
New potato.
We have the AlphaTauri of Irish New Potato who jumped in. So Irish New Potato, can you hear us at all? Perfect. So it was a very solid race from you here today. Unfortunately, not the victory like you might have been hoping at in these early stages of the race. But take us through it. What were your thoughts now here at the end of this race?
I saw one of the greatest overtakes I've seen in a long time. 3 wide through the curve of ground. You got the exit out of the first chicane and came around the outside. I mean, that takes balls, man. That was a ballsy move, and luckily you had the trust in the drivers, the synchro, and everybody around you to like make it sick. And that was a highlight that we should watch again and again. That was great. What were you thinking doing that? You just going for it? You just sending it? Like, what do you? Yeah, it was fantastic. I called it when I saw it, move of the year. It took a lot of trust in the other drivers to pull that one off. Yeah, we've seen it throughout the grid today.
Yeah, well, congratulations once again, Irish New Potato, on the finish and the solid haul of points. Now we'll head on to the race winner here, Cohen. Can you hear us at all?
Yes.
All right, I'll put that Alfa Romeo up, and I mean, I'm gonna start as I always do. It's a from pole to the victory here, but definitely not an easy race for you. Take us through it. What were your thoughts here now at the end of the race from your performance?
At the end of the race, I got really lucky. In the first, I got unlucky because of the double stack of the Haas team. I was to P14, I thought. Then there was a crash in front of me, so I jumped 5 places till 9th place. Then I thought Michael Fures and Lorenzo had an incident, so I could go past them, P4. And then it was just catching. Someone was on the hard, so it was an easy pass. And then it was catching to Irish New Potato. But I had him on penalties though. But finishing first on track is always nice.
Yeah, it was a pretty hectic race. It was clean throughout the most part. It was just close all night. We had to catch. We couldn't keep up with you guys today. You guys were putting on a show. That's for sure. 3 wide in multiple corners where you generally don't see it, but everybody trusting each other to make it stick. There's a few incidents, but it just seemed like hiccups. But I mean, yeah. Pole to the win, but also to mention, yes, going down to P14. It seemed like it was going to be an Alfa Romeo 1-2. What happened to Mark? You know?
Yeah, Mark didn't want to double stack, so he thought he lost too much time then. So he said, I'm going further. But yeah, then he fell back to the back of the grid, and he got stuck in traffic at the end.
Well, again, congrats. This is a huge haul of points for you. This is going to move you well up the standings since you maxed out your points. Didn't get fastest lap. Did you get fastest lap? No.
No.
But that's still a huge haul of points. It's going to move you from where you are probably up a lot.
Finally some points.
Yeah.
Congrats again.
Yeah, thanks. Congratulations. Like you mentioned, Asunik, a solid haul of points, close up that gap to the championship leaders. But I think it'll just about do it here for the Division 2 race, the Division 2 stream. My, oh my, what a race that was. And everybody watching at home, I hope you all enjoyed it as much as we did here in the commentaries booth. But don't go anywhere. In about 40 minutes or so's time, we will have Division 1 as they take to Monza. It'll be the Division 1 Italian Grand Prix at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, so definitely not going to want to miss that one. But that'll do it here for the stream in Division 2. On behalf of Asunic, I've been Fallen Monkeys. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you all next week.